The sky arena was louder than thunder. Aliens of every shape filled the seats. Some had wings, some had scales, and others had glowing eyes. All of them shouted for blood. They wanted to see the beast. They wanted to see something die. In the center of the great pit stood a young alien girl. Her skin was pale blue, her arms chained behind her back. Her legs shaking. She was no warrior. She was no fighter. She was bait. Guards pushed her forward. The iron gates behind her slammed shut. The ground rumbled under her feet. Dust rose in the air, and the smell of old blood made her cough. From above, the crowd laughed. They shouted cruel words, "Throw her to the beast." One shouted, "She will not last a minute." Another cried, the girl's eyes filled with tears. She knew they were right, the beast would come soon, and she would be torn apart, but then something strange happened. The second gate opened. The crowd expected another slave, maybe a warrior dressed in shining armor. Instead, a human walked out. He had no armor, no shield, no sword. Only simple clothes. Dust clung to his boots, and scars marked his arms. He looked calm, too calm for a man about to die. The arena fell silent. Tens of thousands of aliens watched in shock. Humans were rare here. Most had never seen one. And yet here he was, walking into certain death without protection. The guards laughed. "This human is mad. He will be eaten first." But the human ignored them. His eyes were fixed on the girl. She could not believe it. Why would anyone enter this death pit for her? She had never seen him before. He nodded to her just once. His look was steady, like he was saying, "You are not alone." The girl's heart pounded. Was this man truly here to fight for her? Or was he just another victim the arena would claim? The ground shook again, louder this time. The beast was waking. Behind the final gate came a roar, deep and furious. It rattled the stone walls and silenced even the drunkest alien in the crowd. The announcer's voice echoed across the arena. "Behold the devourer." Chains snapped, metal screamed, and the beast stepped out. It was massive. Bigger than a starship shuttle, its claws glistened, each one longer than the girl's arm. Its teeth looked like curved blades. Its eyes glowed red, hungry and cruel. The girl stumbled back, her chains clinking. She cried out, "No, no, please." The human, however, did not move. His hands clenched, his chest rose and fell with slow breaths. He faced the monster like he had been waiting for it. The crowd roared, "Kill him! Tear him apart!" The beast charged. Its heavy steps cracked the stone beneath it. Dust exploded into the air. The girl screamed, certain she would see the human torn in half. But at the last second, the human stepped aside. The beast's claws slashed empty air. The crowd gasped. The human was fast, faster than anyone had imagined. The girl could not understand. How could a man with no armor, no weapon, stand against such a creature? Who was he? The human crouched low, watching every move of the beast, his eyes sharp, calculating. He did not attack yet. He studied, he learned. The beast growled, turned, and charged again. The human rolled aside, dust covering his clothes. The claws scraped the stone where he had stood a heartbeat earlier. Sparks flew. The crowd no longer laughed. Their cheers turned to murmurs. Something was wrong. This fight was not going as they expected. The girl's breath caught for the first time. She felt a spark of hope, this human. He was different, but hope was dangerous. She knew the beast never lost, not once. Many warriors had entered the sky arena. All had died, torn apart and eaten. Could this strange man truly survive? The beast let out a terrible roar, louder than before. It spread its wings, black and vast, and the shadow of death fell across the arena. The girl pressed her back to the wall. Her chains rattling, she wanted to close her eyes. But she could not. She had to see what happened next. And then something even stranger. The human smiled as if the fight had only just begun. The human stood tall in the middle of the sky arena. Dust swirled around him. His face was calm, his body steady. The giant beast's roar still shook the ground, but he did not flinch. Aliens in the stands leaned forward, their yellow, green, and red eyes all fixed on this one man. They had seen many warriors enter before. Warriors with shields, blades, and armor. None of them had returned alive, and yet this human had walked in with nothing. The chained alien girl pressed her back against the wall. Her breathing sharp and fast, she could not understand him. He had no reason to fight, no reason to risk his life. She whispered to herself, "Why? Why are you here?" The beast moved again, its claws scraping stone. Sparks lit the air. It lunged toward the human, jaws open wide. The crowd shouted with joy. End him! Tear him apart! But the human's eyes were sharp. He watched every muscle, every twitch of the beast's body. At the last second, he twisted sideways. The beast slammed into the wall where he had been. The entire arena shook. Dust rained from the stands. The crowd gasped. They had never seen anyone move like that. The human landed lightly, his boots skidding across the stone floor. His chest rose and fell. He was breathing hard, but his face still showed no fear. The announcer laughed nervously. His voice echoed, "The human dances." But for how long? The beast turned, furious. Its glowing red eyes locked on the human. Saliva dripped from its fangs. It growled, low and dangerous. The ground itself seemed to tremble with each sound. The girl cried out, "Run, please," but the human did not run. He took one slow step forward. His voice carried through the arena. Low but steady. Not today. The crowd froze. They understood him. His words reached them. A human was defying the beast. A human was defying the entire arena. The beast charged again, faster this time. The human sprinted toward it. His fists clenched, his teeth gritted. At the last moment he dropped low, sliding beneath the monster's body. His hand grabbed a loose chain half buried in the dust. He rolled and came up with it wrapped around his arm. The crowd roared, some cheered, some cursed. This was not supposed to happen. The human cracked the chain against the ground, testing its weight, his eyes never leaving the beast. He had no sword, but now he had something he could use. The beast growled and swung its massive claw. The human blocked with the chain. Sparks flew as metal met claw. The impact threw him back. His arm shook from the force, but he stayed standing. The girl stared, her eyes wide with disbelief. "He fights. He actually fights," she whispered. From the stands, an alien noble leaned forward, his golden mask shining, his voice sharp. "This is no ordinary human." "Who is he?" The beast lunged again. The human ducked, rolled, and wrapped the chain around one of its legs. The monster stumbled. Crashing into the wall, dust filled the air. The crowd erupted with shock. The human pulled hard, his muscles straining. The beast roared in pain. The chain snapped, and the human was thrown back onto the ground. His body hit the stone hard. Blood spilled from his lip. The girl screamed, "No!" But slowly, painfully, the human pushed himself up. His face bruised, his clothes torn. He wiped the blood from his mouth and smiled. That same strange, fearless smile. The beast glared, enraged. It spread its wings wide. Shadows swallowed the arena. The human's body looked small, fragile, like he could be crushed in an instant, and yet, he stepped forward again. The crowd fell silent, all eyes on him. For the first time in history, they were not cheering for the beast. They were watching the human, the man with no armor, no weapon, who refused to fall. The girl's heart raced. A thought slipped into her mind, a dangerous, impossible thought. Maybe he can win. The announcer's voice cracked as he shouted, "The fight continues." The beast lowered its head, ready to strike. The human raised the broken chain, ready to fight, and in that moment, the arena realized this was no ordinary battle. This was defiance itself standing against death. The girl whispered, tears in her eyes, "Who are you, human?" The beast roared. The crowd screamed, and the human charged forward, straight into the jaws of the impossible. The beast's roar shook the walls of the sky arena. Dust rained down from the high stone ceiling. The chains on the girl's wrists rattled as she pressed herself tighter against the cold wall. Her heart was beating so fast she thought it would burst. The human, however, did not back away. He stood firm, his body tense, his eyes locked on the monster. He looked like a hunter studying prey. Not a victim standing before death, the crowd screamed. Thousands of voices mixed together. "Kill him! Crush him! Tear him apart!" They wanted blood, they wanted screams, but deep inside, some of them now whispered to each other, confused. A human should already be dead, yet he still stood. The beast charged forward, its wings scraping the arena walls. Its massive body moved faster than expected. Each step cracked the ground beneath it. Dust exploded into the air. The girl cried out, "Move!" The human waited until the very last breath. Then he jumped aside, rolling across the broken stone floor. The beast's claws slammed down where he had stood. The shockwave threw rocks into the air. One sharp stone cut across his cheek, leaving a thin line of blood, but he was alive. The crowd gasped. Their laughter died. This was not luck. The human had moved with precision. like he had seen the attack before it came. The beast turned quickly. Its glowing red eyes burned with anger. It roared again, hot breath sweeping over the ground. The human gritted his teeth. His chest heaved with every breath. But his eyes never left the monster. He ran forward, straight at the beast. The crowd screamed in shock. "Madness!" they shouted. The girl shook her head. "No, you can't." The human slid under the beast's swinging claw. Dust filled his lungs. He came up close to its chest. His hand grabbed a shard of broken stone, sharp like a blade, with a roar of his own. He slashed at the creature's leg. The stone cut deep, not enough to kill, but enough to make the beast stumble. Black blood spilled onto the floor, sizzling as it touched the ground. The smell was bitter and burned the girl's throat. The beast screeched in pain. The arena shook with its rage. It spun, its tail whipping like a steel beam. The human jumped back, but the tip caught his side. He was thrown across the arena. His body hit the wall with a sickening crack. The crowd cheered wildly. "Yes, it's over!" The girl screamed, "No!" For a moment, the human did not move. Dust covered his body. Blood dripped from his side. The beast stomped forward, each step heavier than thunder, its eyes glowing brighter, ready to finish him. But then, the human coughed. He groaned, slowly, painfully. He pushed himself to his knees. His arms trembled, but he stood again. His chest rose and fell. Ragged but strong, the crowd went silent. They had seen warriors rise before, but never like this. He should not be standing. He should not be alive, yet there he was. Facing the beast once more, the girl's eyes filled with tears. A spark of hope lit inside her. For the first time she thought maybe this fight was not just a slaughter. Maybe this human was different. The beast roared in fury. Spit and blood dripped from its teeth. It charged again, faster, angrier. The ground cracked with every step. The human lifted the broken chain he had found earlier, wrapping it tight around his arm. He braced himself, waiting. The beast swung its claw down. The human raised the chain. The impact sent sparks flying. The sound echoed like thunder. His knees bent, his muscles screamed. But he held his ground. The crowd erupted. Some shouting for the beast, others, strangely, for the human. Their voices clashed in the air. The arena had never seen this before. The girl whispered, her voice trembling. You're fighting for me, aren't you?" The human's eyes flicked toward her for just a moment. And she saw it, the truth. He wasn't here for glory. He wasn't here for the crowd. He was here for her. The beast pulled back, then slammed again. The human barely dodged. Rolling across the ground, his body bruised, blood staining his shirt, but he kept moving, always moving. The fight turned into a storm. Claw against chain, stone against flesh, dust and blood mixing in the air. The human was battered, broken, but still alive. Still defying? The beast screeched, lifting its massive body into the air with its wings. Shadows covered the arena. The crowd screamed in excitement. It will crush him from above. The girl's voice broke into a sob. "Please, don't die." The human looked up at the falling monster, his body shaking, his blood dripping. And then, he smiled again. That same fearless, impossible smile. The beast came crashing down. The arena shook like an earthquake. The crowd roared. Dust covered everything. When the smoke began to clear, no one could see who was still standing. The arena was silent after the crash. Dust hung heavy in the air like a gray cloud. The ground was split open, cracked like dry earth after a storm. The monster had fallen with all its weight. The crowd leaned forward, eyes wide, searching for one thing: was the human still alive? Slowly the dust cleared. The beast rose first. Its wings spread wide, its chest heaving. Black blood dripped from its leg where the human had cut it earlier. Its red eyes glowed brighter, burning with rage. And then from the rubble a figure moved. The human. His body was battered, his shirt torn and soaked with blood. One arm hung weakly at his side, but his eyes were still sharp, still alive. The crowd gasped. "Impossible!" Someone shouted. "He should be dead." Another cried. The girl's heart jumped. She couldn't believe it. He had survived. He was still fighting. A tear rolled down her cheek. The beast growled, angry that its prey still stood. It scraped the stone with its claws, preparing to strike again. The announcer shouted with excitement, "The human rises." But for how long? The human coughed, spat blood on the ground, and raised the broken chain once more. His body shook, but his legs did not give way. He stood between the beast and the chained girl, refusing to move. The girl pressed against the wall, her chains rattling. Something inside her burned guilt, fear, and a dark truth she had kept hidden. She whispered, her voice breaking, "This is wrong." He doesn't know. He shouldn't be here. The human glanced back at her. His face calm despite his wounds. His look was steady, as if saying, "Hold on. I won't let it end." The beast lunged forward again. Faster than before, its massive claw swiped down. The human rolled aside, but the edge of the claw scraped his back. Blood sprayed across the stone. He staggered, barely staying on his feet. The girl gasped. Her voice shook as she shouted, "Stop! Please stop fighting!" The human's eyes met hers, confused by her desperate cry. And in that moment, the secret inside her spilled out. "They chose me," she screamed. Her voice echoed across the arena. "They threw me here, not just for bait, but because my blood enrages the beast." The crowd laughed cruelly, many already knew. This was their entertainment. The girl's blood carried a strange power when the beast smelled it. It grew more violent, more impossible to fight. The human's face darkened. He turned toward her, even as the beast circled behind him. "So they wanted this to be impossible," he said. His voice low but filled with steel. The girl nodded, tears streaking her blue skin. "Yes, no one can save me, not even you." But the human shook his head. His jaw tightened, his voice rose. "Then I'll just fight harder." The crowd gasped at his defiance. A lone voice shouted from the stands, "Madness! He cannot win." But another voice, louder, shouted, "Human! Human!" The beast roared, enraged by the blood. Its massive body launched forward. Its jaws opened wide to bite. The human dropped low. Rolling under its snapping teeth, he came up behind it, swinging the chain across its wounded leg. The chain bit into the wound. The beast howled in fury, kicking backward. The impact sent the human flying into the wall. Stone cracked, his body slid to the ground. The girl screamed, "No!" Her voice echoed with pain. The human groaned, pushing himself up once more, his body shaking. Blood dripping from his side, he leaned on the wall for balance but refused to fall. His eyes locked on the beast again. The girl's tears fell harder. "Why? Why do you fight for me? I'm cursed. Anyone who tries to help me dies. Why risk everything for me?" The human wiped blood from his face. His voice was hoarse but strong. "Because you don't deserve this," the words silenced her. For the first time in her life, someone had said she was worth saving. The beast roared again, louder, angrier. It slammed its claws against the ground, shaking the arena. The human tightened the chain around his arm. Standing tall once more, the crowd no longer laughed. Some were whispering, some were even cheering. The legend was already being born. The human who stood against the beast. The human who defied the impossible. The announcer shouted, "The fight is not over yet." The girl's chains clinked as she sank to her knees. Her voice broke in a whisper only she could hear. "Please, don't die for me." The beast charged again. The human moved forward too. His body broken, his spirit unbroken. And as they clashed once more in the center of the arena, the crowd rose to their feet. The fight had become more than blood sport. It had become something else, something no alien had ever seen before. The girl closed her eyes tight, praying in silence, and when she opened them, she saw something that made her heart freeze. The human had leapt onto the beast's back. The chain wrapped tight around its throat. The impossible had begun. The chain bit deep into the beast's neck as the human pulled with all his strength. The monster thrashed violently, smashing into the walls of the sky arena. Dust and stone rained from above. The crowd screamed in shock and excitement. They had never seen anyone dare to ride the devourer. The girl's eyes widened. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "He's insane. Or he's a hero." The beast roared in rage. Its wings spread wide, lifting its massive body into the air. The human clung tightly, his arms burning, the broken chain cutting into his skin. His muscles screamed, but he refused to let go. The beast smashed its body against the stone wall. Trying to crush him, the human gritted his teeth. Blood filling his mouth, he shifted quickly. Rolling along its back to avoid being pinned, the crowd gasped at the sight. Thousands of alien eyes followed his every move. The announcer's voice cracked with disbelief. "The human dares to choke the devourer. Is this courage or madness?" The girl shouted, "Get down!" "It will kill you." Her chains rattled as she struggled to move, but she was trapped, helpless. The beast soared higher. Dust and wind blasted through the arena. The human's grip slipped for a moment, his fingers screaming in pain, but he tightened again. wrapping the chain tighter around its throat. The beast roared louder, its wings faltering. The crowd erupted into chaos. Some cheered wildly, others booed in rage. For the first time in years, the monster was struggling. But the beast was not finished. With a furious cry, it dived down. Its body slammed into the arena floor. Stone cracked, shockwaves ripped through the air. The human was thrown hard against its back. His ribs felt like fire. His vision blurred. The chain snapped loose, the human was flung across the ground. Rolling over broken stone, his body came to rest against the wall. He coughed blood, gasping for air. His arms shook as he tried to push himself up. The crowd roared in triumph. "He's finished! It's over!" The girl screamed, "No, get up." Her voice was raw, desperate. The beast limped slightly from its wound, but still towered strong. It stomped toward the human, its claws digging deep into the stone. Shadows swallowed him as it raised its head, ready to strike the final blow. The human's hand trembled. Reaching blindly across the floor, his fingers closed around the same shard of broken stone he had used earlier. He gripped it tight, his knuckles white. His breathing shallow. The girl shook her head, tears falling. "You can't. You'll die." But the human forced himself to his knees. His body bent and broken, his eyes burning with fire. He stood once again, facing the monster. The crowd fell silent, their cheers died into whispers. The beast roared and swung its claw down. The human dodged barely in time, the claw scraping his shoulder. Blood splattering across the arena floor, he lunged forward, slamming the shard into the beast's wounded leg again. Black blood burst out, sizzling on the ground. The beast shrieked in pain, staggering backward. Its massive wings scraped the stone wall, breaking off pieces of rock. The crowd erupted, half screaming for the beast to kill him, half shouting for the human to win. The sound shook the air like a storm. The girl's eyes widened. Hope burned stronger now. This was not like before. The human was not just surviving, he was fighting back. The beast roared, snapping its jaws at him. The human ducked, rolling under its massive body. His hand grabbed one of the loose chains buried in the floor. He pulled with all his strength, wrapping it quickly around the beast's injured leg. He yanked hard, the chain locked tight. The monster stumbled again, crashing onto one knee. Its roar turned into a scream. The ground shook with the impact. The crowd gasped. Never before had the beast been brought down so low. The announcer's voice was trembling now. "The devourer, on its knees?" "Impossible." The girl shouted, her voice filled with tears. "You're doing it. You're winning." But the human did not smile this time. His eyes were cold, focused. He knew the fight was not finished. The beast was still too strong. The monster thrashed, snapping the chain, rising again. Its fury greater than ever, it raised both claws high, ready to smash him into nothing. The human stood tall, bleeding, shaking. His hand clutched the shard. His other hand clenched into a fist. The crowd leaned forward, silence falling again. The girl's heart pounded. She whispered, "Please, don't give up," and then the human did something no one expected. He dropped the shard, letting it clatter to the floor. He raised his fists bare, facing the beast with nothing. The crowd gasped. The announcer shouted, "He has thrown away his weapon." Has he lost his mind? The girl's breath caught. Her chains rattled as she leaned forward, eyes wide. The human looked up at the towering monster, his body broken, his blood dripping, and yet his voice rang across the arena, strong and unshaken. "You don't scare me," the beast roared, charging forward with everything it had. And the crowd knew the turning point had come. The beast thundered forward, its claws raised high. Its shadow covered the human like a mountain falling. The crowd held its breath, thousands of alien eyes fixed on the moment. This was supposed to be the end. The human stood with nothing in his hands, his body broken, his clothes soaked in blood. But his fists were clenched, his face steady. And when the monster's claws came down, he moved not backward, forward. Gasps ripped through the arena. Instead of retreating, the human ran straight into the beast's strike. At the last heartbeat, he ducked under the massive claw. Dust exploded as it hit the ground. The human came up close, his body pressed against the beast's chest. His fist shot forward again and again, each punch striking the beast's throat. His knuckles split, blood mixing with black slime. But he did not stop. He hit with everything he had left. The beast roared, swinging wildly. Its claw grazed his back, tearing flesh. The girl screamed, "No!" But the human held on, his arms locked around the beast's neck, his fists slamming into the same spot, over and over. His voice roared with every strike. Fall! Fall! The crowd was no longer laughing. They were standing, shouting. Some screamed for the beast. Others now screamed for the human. The sound shook the stone walls. The beast stumbled, its massive body swaying. Its wings beat the air desperately. It tried to throw him off, slamming into the walls. But the human refused to let go. His ribs cracked, his vision blurred. His arms trembled like fire, and then something snapped. A horrible crack echoed through the arena. The beast's scream tore the sky itself. Black blood sprayed across the ground. Its massive body staggered backward. The human fell with it. Rolling hard across the stone, he lay gasping. Blood pouring from his wounds. His hands shaking, his fists broken and raw. But his eyes turned toward the beast. The monster crashed onto the ground with a thunder that shook the city above. Its claws twitched once, its wings shuddered. Then silence, the crowd froze. No one breathed. For the first time in history, the devourer had fallen. The announcer's voice cracked. Barely a whisper. The beast is dead. Silence turned into chaos. The crowd erupted with screams, some shouted in rage, others in disbelief, but many, many screamed in triumph. Human! 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 The chained girl stared, her tears streaming, her body trembling. He did it, she whispered. Her heart pounded so loud she could hear nothing else. The human groaned, pushing himself slowly to his knees. Every bone in his body ached, his vision swam, but he forced himself up. Leaning on the broken chain still wrapped around his arm, the crowd's chant grew louder, echoing across the entire arena. Who man, who man? The girl crawled forward as far as her chains would let her, her eyes wide with awe. You're alive. You killed it. The human gave her a faint, tired smile. His chest rose and fell with ragged breaths. His voice was broken but steady. I told you. You're not alone, the crowd roared louder. Shaking the ground, for the first time their voices were not for blood. Not for the beast, but for him, but high above. In the royal balcony, the alien nobles watched in silence, their eyes narrowed behind golden masks. The beast was never supposed to lose, the human was never supposed to win. One noble slammed his fist against the railing. This cannot stand! A human defying our will. The people cheer for him instead of us. Another hissed, kill him before the legend spreads. Guards began to move. Pushing through the stands, their armor shining, their weapons ready. The girl saw them first, her voice broke in fear. They're coming for you! The human turned, his body trembling, his eyes narrowed. He was barely standing, his body broken. But when he saw the guards, his fists clenched again. The crowd noticed too. Their chants changed. Angry shouts rose. Let him live! He earned it. The nobles ignored them. Their cold voices carried over the arena. End this human. Now. The girl's tears fell harder. She whispered, No. You can't fight them too. You'll die. But the human only smiled. That same fearless, impossible smile, his voice low but unshaken. Then I'll die standing. The crowd roared in fury. Some jumped to their feet. Some even threw stones at the guards. The arena was no longer under the nobles' control. And as the human stood tall, blood dripping, fists ready, the beast's corpse at his feet, the legend grew stronger. This was not just a fight anymore. This was rebellion. The body of the beast lay still in the center of the sky arena. Its blood soaked the stone floor. The smell of iron and ash filled the air. Tens of thousands of aliens had come to see the human die. Instead, they had seen the impossible. The human stood tall, his body broken, his clothes torn, his fists bloody but firm. Behind him, the girl trembled in chains. Her wide eyes locked on him. She could not understand it, she could not believe it. Yet the truth was clear. He had fought for her. He had survived for her. The crowd chanted his name, their voices thundered. Shaking the stands, Who man? Who man? Who man? The sound rolled across the city above. Even those who were not inside the arena could hear it. But above in the high balcony, the nobles were furious. Their golden masks gleamed in the torchlight. Their voices were sharp with fear. If the people believe in him, our power is finished, one hissed. He must die before this spreads. Guards stormed into the arena, their armor glinting, spears raised, shields locked. They marched in a line toward the human, their faces hidden, their orders clear. The girl cried out, her voice shaking. Run! Please, you've done enough. You can't fight them too. But the human did not move. His body swayed with exhaustion. Yet his eyes burned bright. He raised his fists once more, his voice carrying across the arena. "I'm not leaving her behind." The crowd erupted with rage. Some shouted at the guards, some hurled stones. Others screamed for the noble's downfall. The arena was no longer entertainment, it was rebellion. The guards charged, spears aimed at the human. But before they reached him, something happened that no one expected. The beast's blood, still fresh on the stone, glowed faintly. A strange energy spread. The chains on the girl's wrists shook, and with a loud snap they broke apart. The girl gasped. Staring at her freed hands, her body trembled as she stepped forward. For the first time, she was no longer bait. No longer a prisoner, she was free. The crowd roared at the sight. "Freedom! Freedom!" The human turned his head toward her. His tired smile returned. "You're free now." The girl's eyes filled with tears, her voice broke. "You freed me. With your blood." The guards hesitated. The chants of the people grew louder. The nobles shouted from above, "Kill them both!" But the guards looked uneasy. Some glanced at the fallen beast. Some at the human still standing after the impossible. Their hands shook for the first time. They questioned their orders. The announcer, who had once cheered for blood, now raised his voice, trembling but strong. "The devourer is dead. The human has won. The people have chosen." The arena shook with cheers. The sound was like a storm. The nobles shouted in panic. Their control was slipping. The girl stepped to the human's side, her voice steady now. "If you stand, I will stand with you." The human nodded, his body weak but his spirit unbroken. "Then let them come." The guards lowered their spears, not at the human but at the nobles above. The crowd screamed with joy. The nobles froze, realizing too late. Power had shifted. The legend was born that day. The story of the human who entered the sky arena with no armor, who killed the beast and who stood against an empire. The girl turned to him, her eyes shining with something new. Not fear, not despair, but hope. "What is your name?" she asked. The human, bloodied and bruised, gave a faint smile. "My name doesn't matter. What matters is that you live." Tears ran down her face, she whispered. "Then I will never forget you." The crowd surged, chanting louder. Their voices shook the sky itself. "Human! Human! Human!" Above them, the nobles fled in fear, their golden masks falling into the dust, their empire trembling. The human closed his eyes for a moment, his body swaying, but he stayed on his feet. His head held high, his fists still clenched. And as the people cheered, as the girl stood beside him free at last, one truth echoed across the stars. Humans were not weak. Humans were not prey. Humans were something more. And this one human had proved it.